According to Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Hello everyone, I am Jill Saludes, your reporter for today. So before we start, let me present to you the objectives. So at the end of my report, you will be able to understand the different models of instructional leadership and supervision model. So, instructional leadership and supervision models have evolved over time, reflecting changes in educational philosophies, societal expectations, and educational advancement. So, these models represent the shifting roles and functions of educational supervisors from mere inspectors ensuring adherence to standardized practices to facilitators fostering professional development. Let's start with the Model 1 or the supervision as inspection. So during the pre-1900s era, the primary function of educational supervisors was to ensure adherence to established norms and practices. The supervisor must inspect the duty of his subordinates. This model tells us about what a supervisor can do to monitor and instruct the teachers. So, as what we have observed when we were in high school, sometimes there are supervisors observe our class, right? And the purpose of that is to monitor the performance of the teacher because simply the supervisor's job is to instruct poorly prepared teachers to reach the standards practiced in the organizational administration. The supervisor's role was likely the same to a manager, with the focus on the maintaining organizational administration. So teachers were expected to conform to specific standards determined by the schoolmasters. Next is the Model 2 or democracy in supervision. Supervisors were specialists and must have the ability to analyze teaching situation. The period between 1900s and 1960 witnessed a shift towards a more scientific approach to supervision. By this, the teacher must have the ability to analyze teaching situations and do something to monitor his or her students. Just like, for example, not all students have the same attitude, right? Capacity to learn. Some of them are slow learner and some of them are fast. So the teacher must know how to analyze the situation and make a solution on what she must do to teach them well. It's either to revise her teaching styles or add some assessments or tests to her students. Have you noticed before, our teacher repeats the topic every day to make sure that we really absorb the lesson well. Also, the use of data gathering devices and tools was introduced because the teacher must gather information to share it to her students. Hence, teacher must possess certain skills to develop new methods and materials for instruction. So simply, teachers were expected to develop new methods and materials for instruction, with the influence of educational philosopher John Dewey being significant during this era. Let's proceed to Model 3, which is the supervision as leadership. The model of supervision as leadership emerged in the 1960s and extended into the early 1990s. Leadership in this context involved guiding the organization towards the goals. Supervisors focus on improving classroom instructions and fostering professional development through collaborative process. So simply, it is all about a leadership as a guidance of an organization. Supervision is somewhat the leader that makes sure that the set goal was catched or not. Supervision to lead mutually accepted goals, extending democratic methods, improving classroom instruction, promoting research and professional leadership. So it incorporated the cycle of supervisions which consisted of pre-conference, observation, and post-conference. Hence, supervision embraced the concept of being developmental, such as professional growth plans, teachers' empowerment, peer supervision, transformation instructional leadership. This means that the teacher must open for development. One must accept changes to develop their teaching skills, such as, for example, a teacher that enrolled for getting master's degree or doctoral degree, and that is part of accepting development. Lastly, the Model 4 or the standard-based supervision. With the emergence of the standard-based reforms in the 21st century, the focus of supervision shifted towards improving teaching and learning outcomes. This model emphasized the importance of raising academic achievements through adherence to new curriculum standards, teacher standards, and high-stake tests. The role of supervision transformed from a mere inspection to active participation, from a bureaucratic approach to more democratic one, and from evaluative function to providing support for educators. So overall, the evolution of instructional leadership and supervision models reflects the changing dynamics of the educational landscape, emphasizing the importance of collaborative and supportive approach to enhance teaching and learning practices for improving students' outcomes. So for example, from K to 12 curriculum to K to 10, which gives emphasis that there is really changes throughout the time. To sum up everything, the concept of standard-based supervision in the context of education is a framework that focuses on the improvement of teaching and learning outcomes within a school. This approach involves the active participation on both school administrators, particularly the school heads and the teachers. The ultimate goal is to enhance the overall educational experiences by emphasizing continuous development and growth. In this framework, school heads are not just managers but also collaborative and supportive instructional leaders. They take on responsibilities of evaluating the teacher performance and providing necessary guidance and mentorship to facilitate the reflection and improvement of instructional methods. By assuming this role, they strive to foster an environment where teachers feel supported and encouraged to refine their teaching techniques. At the same time, the teachers themselves are encouraged to take on leadership roles within their classrooms and among their peers. They are expected to not only deliver effective instruction but also to actively engage in activities that promote professional development and the sharing of best practices. This dual focus on both the school heads and the teachers as leaders contributes to a culture of continuous improvement and shared responsibilities for the quality of education provided. To guide this process, the Department of Education or DepEd has developed two key documents, which is the National Competency-Based Standards for School Heads and the National Competency-Based Standards for School Teachers. These standards serves as the foundation for the instructional supervision roles of both school heads and classroom teachers, providing a common framework that outlines the necessary competencies and skills required for effective teaching and leadership within the educational setting.